Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wild West Banter podcast. On today's episode, we are going to be reviewing week one of the preseason. Lots to talk about today, even though we're going to try and keep this one just a little bit short. I know we went for over 2 hours last episode, but as always, my name is Nick Carr, joined by Matthew Griffin. Matthew, how was your week one of the preseason?
Week one was good. I didn't get to watch the entire full game. I got about the first half and then just had to review the tape afterwards because I was stuck at work. But week one was good. It's always refreshing just to see the guys back on the field. You know, it's the butterflies before the game, just like we're going to have in week one here coming up in a few weeks. So it was great to have football back. And part of the reason we want to keep this short, it is draft day.
Mm-hmm.
It is draft day. Nick and I have our Dynasty League that we've just launched. So this is the first initial draft, and we're stoked about it.
Yeah, I can't
got some
wait.
studying to do after this. So
yeah, I've been wanting to get a Dynasty League together for a few years now, but I feel like it's starting to gain some steam as far as popularity goes. But for the last few years, all of my closest friends have kind of been put off by the idea of doing a Dynasty League, and I was finally able to get 10 of us together this year. So really stoked. Before we get into football, it's that time of the episode where we have to do our beer review. We are starting to have a little bit of a theme here with Breckenridge Brewery. Today we have Breckenridge Brewery's Avalanche Amber Ale. Matthew and I have already had this beer tons of times. It's such a really great beer. It's a classic, you know. I feel like they kind of came on the scene, I don't know, about 10 years ago, and this is one of their staples, and you can't go wrong with it. So for me, my rating on this is probably I'm gonna give it an 8.2 out of 10.
8.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Here's what I'll say with the Amber. It's not an everyday drink for me.
No.
I'm more of a light beer kind of guy.
Yeah.
However, when I do go with anything darker, I haven't had a better Amber yet. I don't think I've tried a better Amber than this Avalanche. So if I'm rating it in terms of what this beer is as an Amber, I'm gonna give it a 9.
Sure.
Just for strictly this type of beer.
Well, I feel like ever since Fat Tire went away from their original recipe, it's been hard. Yeah, it's been hard to find ambers. But
we went on a Fat Tire kick. But yeah, this is a fantastic beer. 9. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So both pretty high scores for us. With that being said, we're going to get into a high scoring offense. In the Denver Broncos. We're going to start with the Denver Broncos here. This week we played the Atlanta Falcons, and man, it was not a close one at all. The Broncos blew out the Falcons, especially when at the beginning of the game they were playing some of their ones. We were playing some of our starters, but mostly second teamers. Bo Nix did not play this week. He was in Atlanta, but he did not play this week. He'll be playing the last 2 preseason games. But yeah, no, this Broncos team came out looking crisp, looking like they were on point, and looking like a team that should have beat the Falcons, and they absolutely took it to them. So
it seemed like it was a fast start. It wasn't one of those rugged, slow starter games that you were accustomed to last year with the Broncos.
Yeah.
Granted, yes, we know it's preseason, but that's got to be a breath of fresh air for you guys. Coming out the gates hot, that first drive was fantastic. I didn't know how many starters you guys were playing, what this game was going to look like, but I did get to tune in a little bit. And your entire starting offensive line outside of your center, you guys have a ton of center injuries right now.
Yeah.
That whole center room is hurt. But outside of Wattenberg, your entire O-line played more than I thought they would, and then you got to see guys like Pat Bryan and Cortland Sutton, Harvey and Coleman, so it was cool for you guys to see some familiar names, at least for a few drives. And yeah, it looked impressive. You guys came out firing, and looked like the play calling was great. You marched down the field with ease. Some defensive starters played as well, it sounded like. So
pretty
tell
much.
me about your biggest takeaways from what you saw whether it be from the starting group or backups or just the storylines, what were you encouraged to see in this first appearance of the Broncos this year?
Sure, yeah. So you mentioned it was a breath of fresh air for us to see this team start fast. Honestly, that doesn't mean a damn thing to me until Bo Nix can do it. Right. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to be worried about it until it becomes a thing again. But Bo Nix wasn't out there, so whatever this offense looked like, while yes, it was encouraging, my takeaway is that it doesn't really mean much to me until Bo Nix is out there doing it with them. Sucked that we weren't able to see Jalen Waddle. If I had to take a guess, maybe he gets into one of these preseason games, but they're probably just going to take it pretty slow with him, and maybe we're going to have to wait until the first week of the regular season to see Jalen Waddle in a Broncos uniform. But as far as the biggest takeaways from this game, I'm going to start off with Courtland Sutton because on like the first 2 drives, he looked incredible. There was that one drive where he had that amazing one-handed catch, and then he also had that deep ball from Jarrett Stidham and looked absolutely unstoppable. So just promising to see from Courtland Sutton. He's kind of the 1B option here. But yeah, I mean, he's been a big thing to this offense for a while now, and I think that he's just going to be that reliable guy again this year. So good to see him coming out, looking great, healthy, and making plays. However, the biggest thing for me here that gave me some excitement was Jonah Coleman. He looks really, really great. I mean, he didn't have necessarily that big pop of a run, but he was hard to tackle. He reminded me of a guy like Maurice Jones-Drew, where just like this smaller guy, 5'8" is how tall this guy is, but he's 220 pounds, and when this guy has a full head of steam, it's going to take 2 guys to get this guy to the ground, minimum. But there was this one kind of stretch play where he got hit. He kind of did a spin move off the guy and gained an extra 2 or 3 yards. And that's what you're looking at out of a guy that is a bigger body back. You're not expecting to get the 15, 20-yard plays out of this guy. Yes, he's capable of doing that. But you're looking for this guy to average, 4 or 5 yards a carry. And I think that's kind of where he's going to be successful. And it was really nice to see him do that in his first action in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to note that eye test and actually watching the tape and watching some of these runs tells way more of a story where you can sit here and actually dive into those plays, which eventually, sneak peek, we're going to try to get some of these on Descript. Mm-hmm. That's our audio recording and visual here. We're going to try to get these so that when we're talking about it, we at least have a visual reference as well. But looking at a stat line doesn't do justice, and this was a good example of that. An 8-yard run on the stat line doesn't turn a lot of heads, but when you see an 8-yard run like Coleman put together, that's impressive, right? Yeah. It's a tough 8, that could have been 2 or even negative yardage. And some of those runs, man, it's like I said, it may not look pretty and flashy on a stat sheet, but you're looking at it and you're like, he's getting you extra yards, and he was tough to bring down. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, he gave you everything you wanted to see out of a rookie running back. I anticipate he's going to get more sample size as preseason progresses. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to sit a ton, at least for a few drives or shoot maybe a quarter or a half. But expect to see more out of Jonah Coleman, and that was a very good sneak peek for you guys and a lot to be excited for to bring that into your running back room.
Yeah. Last couple things here. We're going to stay on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to talk about the Broncos offensive line. So it is widely received that the Broncos offensive line is the best in the NFL. And they came out and showed that in this first week of preseason. We were going against a pretty bad Atlanta defensive line. But even without our starting center or even our backup center in there, our quarterbacks had all day in the pocket. Yeah. And they made our quarterback play rather easy because our offensive line absolutely dominated this game. Promising stuff there. And then the last point that we want to make on the Denver Broncos here. So last year, obviously a very dominating defense. It was between the Broncos and the Texans for that top unit in the NFL. But the biggest gripe that I would say Broncos fans had with this Denver defense, and honestly Sean Payton has said it himself, is that this defense doesn't cause nearly enough turnovers. Again, we're 1 week into this preseason, and not all the starters were playing, but this Denver Broncos defense got some turnovers. Riley Moss had an interception. Jahdae Barron had a pick six. So really promising stuff there. It's always good to see your defense getting those turnovers because that can really turn a game around. So promising stuff.
Yeah, big momentum swings on the defensive side of the ball. We know you guys have a dominant defense that's going to be, minus any major injury, should be a top 3 unit, if not higher, in the league this year. So that's great stuff to see. Great for your second-year pro in Barron, just to get his feet wet a little bit. Sounds like he overall had a good game. Mm-hmm. I know the pick six was a tipped pass, landed in his hands, and it was a house call from there, goal line to goal line. So impressive stuff from him, good awareness, good hands, and he made the play when the play presented himself. But it sounds like the trend all game long is that he played well, and that's good for you guys to see, as he didn't have maybe the most on-field impact in year one.
No,
but this is a first-round talented guy, and we were both pretty high on him in the draft. So that's exciting stuff to see for you guys. Could be scary for the rest of the AFC West for sure. We just talked about a lot of the positive stuff you saw. You got your first glimpse at Davis Webb, which is probably really exciting for you guys. Was there anything left on the table for you in this game, or any downward trajectories for whether it be a specific player or a unit or something you wish you saw more out of? Or I know overall you were very content with this game and very happy with the outcome. But anything pop up in your head for negative stuff for the Broncos, or maybe like for a certain player, maybe his stock's going down, maybe a guy battling a roster spot or anything like that?
I mean, not really. I mean, it was a pretty dominant game from the Broncos. If you forced me to pick one person, and again, I only really watched the first half of this because I was working, and I watched it when I got home at like 1 a.m. But the one that didn't really make any like eye-popping stuff happen for me was RJ Harvey. So who knows what to expect out of him. I think that Coleman is kind of taking over maybe that bigger role as a full-time back behind J.K. Dobbins. But with that being said, I mean, I thought Harvey was fine, but it wasn't anything special. So,
gotcha. We can jump to the Raiders and then the Chargers.
Sure.
Let's flip it out of order today. So with the Raiders game, also was working during this game. Unfortunately, didn't get to watch it live. Did go back and review some tape, as well as reading some reports from some Raiders writers on what they thought overall. The big storyline here, one, is their first glimpse at Mendoza, right? That's your new shiny object. Just the minute he checked into the game, eyes are glued to the TV. Everyone's excited to see it. But one of the biggest stories here is Mike Washington Jr., who we just talked about a few episodes ago. And he looked great.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you saw that long run he had.
I did.
But he popped a big one. His vision was great. His speed is ridiculous. He's making guys miss, forcing missed tackles. Dude, Mike Washington looked really, really, really good. And if that continues, I mean, this 1-2 punch of Genty and Mike Washington Jr. is going to be one of the better ones in the entire league, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And it looked very clean on that side of the ball with Kubiak running that rushing offense. I mean, yeah, I think Raiders fans have to be ecstatic about what they saw out of Mike Washington Jr. and hope that trend continues, because he was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I wouldn't know how to feel as a Raiders fan, because it's just like, man, you have such an awesome running back in Ashton Genty. Yep. And with him, you're kind of expecting him, obviously, to be the bell cow, and you want him to be in the game as much as you possibly can. But then you have this guy behind him in Mike Washington Jr., and you're just like, damn, this guy's pretty awesome, too.
He's got to see the field. right?
Yeah, it's like, so what the hell are you going to do with this guy?
Off the field. He's going to be incorporated in this offense if that continues. I mean, there's just no way you keep this guy off the field.
Mm-hmm.
So how they manage carries, I know Genty's going to be that guy and that workhorse, but like I said, if Washington Jr. is doing stuff like this, it's impossible to keep a guy like that off the field.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good problem.
It is a good problem to have, and a coaching staff would agree. You can't have too many good players. Like we'd much rather have to deal with that and managing one ball shared across the room rather than the alternative. So, great 1-2 punch. Second year wide receiver Jake Beck looked pretty good. He caught, I think Mendoza's first touchdown was to Jake Beck. And he had a good game, and that's big for their wide receiver room, who really is just lacking someone to step up and really solidify themselves away from the rest.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, that receiver room is a group. I wouldn't even want to say a group of misfits, but it's just a group of guys.
Yeah.
And they have some capable guys. Trey Tucker's not a bad receiver. Jalen Naylor's not bad. Jake Beck's showing some stuff, but they don't have that guy that's separated in the pack. So, this was a good first glance at him. Do I expect Jake Beck to separate from the pack and be this one wide receiver one? I don't. I wouldn't like that as my wide receiver one. But when you're seeing stuff like that from him, it's just encouraging to see when you have sort of an uninspiring wide receiver room as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, he looked promising. But again, I've said it before. This Raiders wide receiver room they have a whole bunch of wide receiver threes on their team, and it's nothing that strikes fear into anyone else. Luckily for the Raiders, they're probably going to have a pretty decent draft pick coming up this year, and there's a ton of good wide receivers coming out. So, yes, they've gone offensive weapons the last few years, but they should probably do the same thing in the 2027 draft class with all these good wide receivers that are coming out. So,
we can jump on Mendoza here. He got into the game for a little bit. We finally got to see his NFL debut in the preseason, and overall, I thought he looked good. I don't think that there was this crazy, flashy, major stat line or huge plays from Mendoza that's on SportsCenter's top 10. But that doesn't mean that he had a bad game or that he wasn't ready for the moment. I was impressed with what I saw from Mendoza in his first debut. I thought he commanded the huddle very well. He was very decisive on his throws. And when he lets it rip, dude, he's got some zip on that ball. I mean, his throws got some zip on it, and it's impressive to see. Very decisive, and then that thing's delivered in the receiver's hands before you even blink your eye. It was impressive to see. I can see what they like in the guy and what they're very excited about. Overall, I think as a Mendoza fan, if you are one, or a Raiders fan, I think you're happy with what you saw out of him. Mm-hmm. Without any major splash plays or crazy highlight reels. I think he did well. I don't think he didn't do anything bad to be down on the guy for or to create doubt that he's not ready.
Yeah, just for me, yes, of course, you're going to be excited as a Raiders fan because you spent the first overall pick in this guy. And yes, he did things that you want to see. But pumping the brakes just a little bit, they were playing the Arizona Cardinals. This could be the worst team in the NFL, and he was going up against their backups. So who knows how much of that is like he was just playing against inferior talent, or if he just is going to be something good. So it's still early on, and it's very much waiting and seeing on Mendoza. So,
but at first glance, that's the game he was assigned to play. You can't change it. He showed up. He did what he had to do, in my opinion.
You're right.
Now, while we might have a little bit of stock up with all these positives with the Raiders side, with Mendoza and Mike Washington Jr. and Jake Beck, it's a bit different on the defensive side of the ball. Overall, this was a bad day for the Raiders defensively. They couldn't stop the run to save their life this game. They had a rough day in the secondary, and their young corners struggled. And then on top of that, without Max Crosby in this game and he didn't play, it didn't seem like they had any pass rush that could be generated. Mm-hmm. Overall, there was just not a lot of good stuff that we saw from the Raiders defense. And we saw guys like Quay Walker played a little bit, Treylon Stukes, Nakobe Dean, Eric Stokes, Jermon McCoy even got into the game, Zeke Massis. And with all those things, we had this Raiders defense didn't force an incompletion by the offense until the third quarter. The Arizona Cardinals offense went 3 for 3 on their drives with 3 touchdowns in that first half. They couldn't stop anything. So that was a rough showing initially from that Raiders defense, pretty much in all facets of the game. I mean, like I said, the defensive side or the run D struggled. They couldn't generate pass rush, and then their young corners just had a rough day.
Yeah, this was always going to be the Achilles heel of this Raiders team. Their defense, while yes, they have brought in some younger guys with upside, and they also brought in obviously the 2 bigger name middle linebackers. Their defense is still pretty piss poor, and it showed in this game. So the thing for me is their starters aren't good, and I mean more importantly, the depth on that defense is pretty pitiful. So
yeah, a lot to clean up on.
Yeah, I've said it a few times already. This Raiders team, they're building it from the outside in, and I hate it, and that's why the Raiders are probably never going to be good ever again. So. That's a little hot take there, but this defense is not great. So, perfect. Well, that's enough on the Raiders. We have one more point here, but we don't need to talk about it. So let's move on to the Los Angeles Chargers. Kind of exciting stuff for you. We'll talk about kind of the biggest talking point of all of the offseason. We're going to talk about this offensive line. So, what happened, Matthew?
Just clean football through and through. This was a very, very well-coached team and a very well-coached game, and it showed. This was extremely clean football from the LA Chargers, which was awesome to see. I think it starts with the offensive line, and the offensive line as a whole was outstanding this game. They were fantastic. And I know we have that left guard competition, but everybody that played impressed. Mm-hmm. Everybody looked good. There was nobody on that line that stood out that didn't belong. And overall, like we brought in Mike McDaniel to change this offensive scheme and to change everything on that side of the ball. And then with him comes Butch Berry, who's his offensive line coach. And like I said, this showed. I mean, granted, do we have better players than we did last year in terms of depth? We do. But you even look at last year's preseason games, and we allowed 15 pressures per game in the preseason. That's what we were averaging. It was like 4 games, 56 pressures from our preseason offensive line. Our O-line allowed 4 pressures this entire game. It was fantastic. It was just clean football. So that was so exciting to see. The biggest storyline with this is everybody, including myself, when this game started, all I was doing was queuing in on Jake Slaughter. Mm-hmm. What are they doing with him? The biggest thing for me was I wanted to see him get a strong sample size at left guard. Yeah. Whatever happens in that competition, he just needs a lot of reps at left guard. I feel very comfortable and confident with Jake Slaughter as a center. I don't mind that, but I think it's almost wasted snaps when he's out there playing center in preseason. We know what he is as a center. So when this game started, Jake Slaughter actually started at center, and we had Branson Taylor at left guard. Branson Taylor fared very well. He had a very strong first 2 drives, but that's all it was. 2 drives in, Slaughter moves to left guard. Coyote Awasika played right guard, and he played 3 series and then pulled. Mm-hmm. Now, what we're diving into is this telling, right? Awasika gets 2 to 3 series pulled. Branson Taylor gets 2 to 3 series pulled. Jake Slaughter played that first half. Mm-hmm. And he didn't exit the game until the third quarter, which honestly I'm still happy about because he needs a bigger sample size than those other guys when he's a rookie changing positions. He needs those reps. But what we saw out of Jake Slaughter was fantastic, dude. He allowed 1 pressure in like 50 snaps. He looked great. He got to that second level, which is that athleticism we loved about Jake Slaughter coming out of the draft. Him getting to that second level in the run game was awesome. And for the first time in years, I've seen a Chargers guard pick up a stunt. That's insane. We didn't even know our left guards could do that. Like, fucking Zion Johnson never could read a stunt to save his life, and Herbert's just getting rocked left and right. So there's some clips, and I wish we had it up because I would love to show it. But Jake Slaughter picking up stunts, his pass protection was fantastic. Mm-hmm. I would say if there's anything negative about our improvement side is just in the run game, just getting a better anchor. But like I said, once they're rushing to the outside and he's getting to the second level, he's doing very well.
Yeah.
So he played fantastic. The coaches raved about him. They were very excited with what they saw. But with the alternative, Awasika looked awesome at right guard. He had a very clean game. And then Branson Taylor played pretty well as well.
Yeah.
So it's just bigger with Slaughter because he had that 2.5 quarters of sample size to go from, whereas the other guys didn't have that much time in the game. But I loved what I saw. This was a fantastic showing from the offensive line. Schematically, they are coached very well. This was clean football, man. It was very exciting.
Yeah, I feel like, so a lot of times you kind of make me sick for how much you glaze the Chargers, but what I will say is that, I'll give you guys the credit here. It wasn't like this was a cupcake opponent. And yes, it's the preseason and you're seeing stuff, but when we're talking about who your offensive line was going against, it's against a very great Houston Texans defense, whether it's starters or their depth.
But
well-coached group and a very deep defensive team.
Yeah.
And yeah, your offensive line showed out. They were able to do their job and put a game together. And you were able to put up 27 points on this Houston Texans defense, albeit not their starters, but you still were able to do it. So I'll give you the credit there for sure. Positive stuff. These are kind of the things that you were hoping to see out of the changes from this Chargers offensive line this offseason. So
and do I care as much about final scores in the preseason? No. Not really. I'm looking more in depth at that roster construction and these guys, but more in depth at what is Mike McDaniel and Chris O'Leary and Butch Berry, these new coaches we brought in, and what are they getting the most out of these guys, and does it look clean? And it did. This game was the same score as the Broncos, 27-7, and it was just very exciting stuff to see, and we're going to see more develop on that offensive line. No starter has been named. But I will say this gives you a little bit more optimism that all three of our candidates at left guard looked very good.
Yeah.
And granted, like I said, this is one preseason game, so I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but that's good to see.
Yeah. So you mentioned their names a little bit there, but I'm really want to talk about your two new coordinators that you have in O'Leary and McDaniel. Did we get any kind of insight into what to expect out of these two guys in this first game, or what's your feeling on having two new coordinators on this team?
Yeah, so I'll start with the defensive side of the ball because I got more to say about McDaniel after. People freaked out early. So Chris O'Leary's defense started this game very slow. Mm-hmm. And that, I guess that if you're going to have a gripe, that might be one of them. The Texans offense came out and just marched the field. Mm-hmm. And they smoked our defense that first drive, first 7. And it was like, we can't stop anything. I mean, they were getting their way with our defense on whatever they wanted on that first drive. But I will say it cleaned up immensely. Mm-hmm. We didn't allow another point in the rest of this game after that first drive. We shut them out the rest of the game after the first drive. So it cleaned up. They settled in. Granted, we didn't have a bunch of the starters playing, but they cleaned it up. Just very slow start on that first drive that looked rough, and then we got some good football out of these guys. The energy on the defensive side was great. I think we're going to see a very similar defense to Jesse Minter's. I mean, Chris O'Leary is a guy that worked right under Jesse Minter and learned from him. He was the secondary coach under the Chargers, under Jesse Minter, before he went to Western Michigan. So I think he's going to include a lot of the same concepts that he got from Jesse Minter. I don't think we're going to see a lot change on that side, if anything, and they don't display a lot of this in the preseason, their blitz packages. A lot of teams don't want to show their hands.
It's very vanilla.
Yeah, so this was very vanilla. We didn't see a lot of diverse blitz packages or D linemen dropping back into coverage while sending a corner rush. Like, we didn't see a lot of this different concepts that we're hoping to get throughout the year. But I think that's expected. I think that was by design. Overall, from Chris O'Leary's defense, it was a good game. Like I said, slow start, but they played really well. With Mike McDaniel, everything you want, you saw, right? He brought to you while you're excited about bringing in a guy like this. The amount of pre-snap movements that the Chargers offense showed in this Texans game was probably more than I've ever seen in a Chargers game ever. And this is just preseason, but that's what McDaniel does. He runs a very quick, fast-hitting offense that has a lot of motion and a lot of different moving parts, and makes it extremely hard for defensive coordinators in the green dot to figure out what is this offense doing. And we saw that. There was a lot of pre-snap movement, which I was happy about. But the biggest thing that I saw from McDaniel in this game is the easy buttons. And what I mean by that, that's what his mantra has been with Justin Herbert, who we did not see in this game, but is how do we get the most out of him? We ask him to do less, right? We don't want this guy having to play hero ball week in, week out to just skate by. We want to make it easy on him. Let's make his job easy. And that's what Mike McDaniel did here. These just easy chunk plays that he's getting. He's getting the ball out very quick, so we're not generating a lot of pressures or sacks because the ball's coming out fast. And his route concepts, his fast-paced offense was on display here. A lot of easy buttons, a lot of easy completions for this offense. And I could see the first down success rate was high because we were just setting up second and shorts. And that was awesome to see. We're not wasting that down. McDaniel was consistently just getting easy buttons to move down the field, and it showed. So, again, same thing I said about O'Leary. Don't expect to see a full slate from McDaniel because he's not going to give you that in preseason, nor will any coach, quite frankly.
No.
They're not going to show their hand. But we did see a lot of changes that we have not ever seen from a guy like Greg Roman. And I'll take that one step further with incorporating the run game, or the passing to the running backs as well. That's something Greg Roman never, ever used. And McDaniel used it in this game a little bit, and it showed. And it's like, oh, we can use our running backs to throw to. Like, that's nice. I wish we would have done that for the last several years. So that was good to see. While I'm staying on the offensive side of the ball, a topic for the Chargers receiving core has always been, are we keeping 6 receivers or 5? And that people are going back and forth on that.
I feel like most teams keep 6.
Keep 6, but then we're cutting someone, whether it be from the safety group or the O-line group for depth. And if we're an extra lineman for depth, given our track record there, right, that position, that roster spot has to come from somewhere. And so a lot of talking points were, will the Chargers keep wide receivers, or 6 wide receivers? Is KLS in contention of being cut? That was a legitimate talking point. And I say that because we have our 3 with Ladd, Q, Trey, Brennan Thompson, and then the 5th was Darius Davis. And Darius Davis, I feel like, has a good roster spot because of his special teams ability. Mm-hmm. This is a former first-team All-Pro returner. Yeah. And his ability on the special teams is probably going to get him a roster spot, even though he may not offer as much in the receiving game. KLS came out and showed you why you're going to keep 6. And I feel extremely comfortable saying I think KLS is making this team, and he's showing you too many reasons that you can't cut this guy because I don't think you're getting him back. Yeah. And he's a dangerous player. He finished with 4 catches for 58 yards. And it wasn't, last year we saw a lot of that deep ball with KLS. Just send him. Like, this guy will bring it down. This was those easy buttons from McDaniel where KLS was running crisp, short routes, and he has great hands. And he just was on display. He was impressive in this game. So, shout out to KLS, another guy from last year's preseason that was a big talking point, and he's showing why he deserves to be on this roster.
Cool. All right, we've spent way too much time on the Chargers, Matthew.
QB2.
All right, go ahead.
The last thing I want to talk.
Go ahead. We're talking about your backup quarterback. Let's go.
Just because I don't even know how to say his name, but I'm gonna try. DJ
Uyunglele. Okay.
Uyunglele.
Perfect.
I think we're now at the point where we have a conversation that he might take Trey Lance's job. Truly, I do.
This isn't important.
So DJU had an awesome game.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Let's get into the Chiefs. Yeah, they didn't win the game. Didn't look great, in my opinion. But they did have some people that stood out. The 2 that stood out the most to me was their rookie running back, Emmett Johnson.
Second year.
Yeah, second year Emmett Johnson. And their rookie wide receiver, Cyrus Allen. With that, I mean, Cyrus Allen only had 2 catches on 5 targets for 20 yards, but it's kind of that eye test type of thing. Mm-hmm. This guy, he kind of looks incredible.
I feel like he has it. Whatever it is, they think they're comfortable that he has it.
So, I mean, the Chiefs have had questions at that wide receiver position for several years now, and it kind of is starting to feel like they have an answer. So Cyrus Allen has looked fantastic. He's not the biggest stature guy. I want to say he's only like 5'11".
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this guy could be legit. So pretty scary stuff there. But we couldn't expect that Patrick Mahomes wouldn't have another weapon for the rest of his time. So
And they pull him just out of nowhere.
I know, like, 5th round guy.
You just don't know,
Yeah.
and then camp comes and you're like, oh, this guy's Cyrus Allen. And then next thing you know, that's Mahomes' next dude.
Yeah. But yeah, Emmett Johnson also looks great. I believe he had 12 carries, about 60 yards. He almost had like 5 yards per rush, I believe.
Yeah.
But looks really great. I feel like he'll be a really solid number 2.
He hauled in 3 catches for 10 yards too. He was a guy I stashed on one of my dynasty leagues last year's draft, and obviously we got nothing out of him. So if Emmett Johnson can be RB2, that'd be cool. But promising start for him. 5 yards per carry. He brings in 3 catches with it. He had a good day. He looked good on the field. It begs the question, like, I guess they brought in DeMarcado. I think it's DeMarcado from the Niners, old Niners back.
I think he was on the Cardinals last year, wasn't he?
But he go Niners to Cardinals. Was he with the Niners?
Yes.
I think he went.
Yeah, Niners to Cardinals. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean that guy's kind of cycled the league as just this plug and play guy when you're in a pinch, and he did not even suit up. So who knows? Like, is this his spot to lose? I think as of now it is. But you get more games like that from Emmett Johnson. He might be making a name to be that RB2 behind K9. So good stuff from him.
Yeah. All right. Next time going here, penalties.
Yeah.
What did you see here?
Just from what I read, and full transparency here, I did not see a lot of this game. I did watch some highlight stuff, but we know that only tells the story so much. So I didn't see a ton of this game. But when I research and I'm reading about it, there was frustrations that this was just an ugly game from the Chiefs, whether it be on the coaching side or some miscommunications, but a lot of penalties and on both sides of the ball. It was just not a clean showing from this team. It's early. It's week 1 of preseason, so nothing to go crazy about. But not the best showing you want to see when your team comes out is just getting drives stalled left and right or allowing drives to continue because your team can't get off the field with penalties. So just not a clean game from them. I don't know a lot of the details about where those penalties were occurring. Was this on the offensive line? Were they picking up a lot of holdings, or was this on the defensive side in the secondary? I'm not entirely sure, but just not a great showing in terms of a clean game from that team.
No. Yeah, I mean, I love to see it. Hopefully that's a regular thing that carries over into the regular season. So, some promising stuff on the defensive side of the ball. Their second-round rookie, R. Mason Thomas, looked like he had a pretty good day. Now, with that being said, I know that their other first-round pick, Peter Woods, was getting a lot of double teams in this game. So maybe that was freeing up R. Mason Thomas to kind of have easier runs at the quarterback or just making plays in the run game. But albeit, I mean, he looked pretty good out there. So
yeah, and this is another one where don't go look and see how many sacks he had because he didn't have any, but that doesn't mean he had a bad game.
No.
And we've all seen that with edge rushers where it's like, oh, their numbers weren't good that game. Well, they were one of the best players on our field. I don't care what his numbers looked like. You watch that game and he was impactful. And that's what I read with R. Mason Thomas. A lot of physicality on the D-line. He showed a lot of good technique on the edge. And it just sounds like they're starting to have these conversations. Will this be our best edge rusher in 2026? I don't know. We know George Karlaftis is there, and that's his spot. But I don't think that's a major hurdle. I don't think Karlaftis is outstanding by any means.
No.
But it sounds like they were pleased with what they saw from rookie edge rusher R. Mason Thomas. And we talked about that early, that was a point of concern for me for the Chiefs was can they develop enough pass rush, and do they have a second guy outside of Karlaftis? So hopefully they get that R. Mason Thomas if you're a Chiefs fan.
Yeah. And then other defensive player, you want to talk about that safety there?
Yeah, so this is Jaden Hicks. It sounds like he's a second-year safety, and it just sounds like he was all over the field.
Like 6 tackles or something in this game?
Yeah, 6 tackles. I think he had a couple PBUs, but it was just this guy was just all over, playing with his hair on fire, and he was everywhere in the backfield or in the secondary. So sounds like very good stuff that they saw out of him. We know that secondary room is headlined by Alohi Gilman, the former Charger. But if Jaden Hicks can take this next step forward, that'll be a big benefit to the Chiefs as we talk about their secondary and who needs to step up in that secondary in the safety room and in the cornerback room. So Jaden Hicks, I mean, hats off to you. He had a great game.
Yeah. So next point I want to talk about, and I'm pretty proud of ourselves for this one because I don't think anyone else is talking about this with the Chiefs. So you're only getting this on the Wild West Banter podcast right now. But I think that Justin Fields sucks, okay? Garrett Nussmeier actually looked pretty decent in this game.
He did.
So if I'm the Chiefs, Garrett Nussmeier is my backup quarterback, and Justin Fields can go be a running back in the Canadian Football League for all I give a damn. That guy is terrible. So yeah, Nussmeier looks great in my opinion.
They keep 3 QBs?
I would say so at this point. Yeah. I think that they kind of want to look at Justin Fields as a project type of thing.
Yeah.
And then, I don't think you can cut Nussmeier.
Yeah, and just from the stat line of what I'm seeing, Nussmeier was 13 of 19, 98 yards. He took 2 sacks, but no turnovers, no touchdowns. Justin Fields, much smaller sample size, 4 for 4, 41 yards, 2 rushes for 9 yards. Again, no turnovers, no touchdowns.
Yeah.
But Nussmeier looked good. He played fine. And when you're a rookie QB entering like that and you're fighting for a roster spot and even just trying to get to be a Pat Mahomes backup, don't turn the ball over. And it sounds like he didn't. He didn't have a lot of turnover-worthy plays. He played safe with the ball. He took care of the ball. And, I don't think he's going to be QB2. I don't.
No.
I think with Justin Fields, they brought him in for a reason. As much as we like or dislike the guy, and I'm not a Justin Fields fan either, but the guy has played in the NFL for a good amount of time. And he's been in a lot of different situations, and he carries some form of experience as an NFL quarterback. And I think that's just going to bring enough value to the Chiefs to say, let's keep this guy. And if we need to, run some packages with him as a rusher and run some RPO offense with him, and God forbid if something happens to Mahomes, it gives you that flexibility. I don't think Justin Fields is going to go anywhere, but you got to be happy about what you saw out of Nussmeier, at least for the depth of the room.
Yeah. All right, so last thing here on the Chiefs. We've been talking about their offensive line all offseason.
Yeah.
Did we see anything positive here in this game?
When we're talking about the offensive line, I'm more focused on the right guard. I think they're pretty much set at what they're going to have in the other spots. We didn't see Creed and we didn't see Trey Smith. I don't even think Simmons played. I'd have to double check on that. But at right guard, something to note, Jalen Moore did not play in this game. Now, we always dive in. Okay, the guys that aren't playing, are these your starters? Maybe is this a personnel decision? Maybe it's let's get the rookie Khalil Benson just a shit ton of reps because he's a rookie at right tackle and needs it. But from what I saw, it sounds like Benson fared well. I don't think it was anything outstanding, but it wasn't anything bad either. And as an O lineman, that's usually a good sign, right? When you're not being talked about, usually that's because you're probably doing something pretty decent. They're one of the guys that if they fly under the radar, that's usually more in their favor than not. And it sounds like they were pleased with what they got out of Khalil Benson in a good sample size. He's continuing to fight for that roster spot from Jalen Moore. I think we both kind of said we're leaning that Jalen Moore's probably going to get it. Just having the experience and being a vet on that team for a few years and serving as a backup and a swing tackle for several years, I still think it's Jalen Moore's spot to lose. But Khalil Benson went out, and it sounds like he had a pretty good day.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm pretty proud of us. We wanted to stay at 40 minutes. We're at 43 right now. So,
that's damn good.
we really wanted to keep this one pretty short, mainly selfishly because we do have a Dynasty football draft. We have to go to the liquor store. We have to go pick up pizza. We got to cook some jalapeno poppers. So that's what our future is going to look like this evening. I'm super excited about it. Football's here. Next week, maybe we can go over the Dynasty teams that we drafted and maybe get some feedback from everyone. We'll for sure be going over week 2 of preseason next week. Looking for some positive stuff. I know on the Broncos side of things, I'm super excited because Bo Nix is going to be playing.
As is Herbert. Like Herbert's going to play a series or two.
Fun stuff.
First time we'll see him with McDaniel. There'll be more to talk about in week 2 as we get more starters involved. Yeah. But we actually have real analysis from gameplay on a field.
Yeah.
We are so amped for training camp. It's a next level. We're so amped for preseason, and it's just going to continue from here. So very excited for it. Looking forward to next week and analyzing week 2 of the preseason and seeing how some of this is really shaking out.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we're going to pop on out of here. Thank you so much for listening. It really means the world to us. Matthew and I, we're really just doing this for fun, but if we can even have 2 of you that learn something from this, or we can put a smile on your face, that's really what matters the most to us. So thank you again to everyone, and we'll see you next week. Go Broncos.